So I am presenting on the happiness theory, and I am Stephanie Farnsworth, and so yeah, I'm going to be presenting on happiness theory. So the creators and dates of this theory, there's kind of two that we're going to be really talking about. There's not really one main man who created happiness theory. It's kind of a idea that really sparked, and then lots of people have contributed to it. But Martin E. P. Seligman really has put a lot into this idea of happiness, and he wrote the book Authentic Happiness, and that is the resource that Mike W. Martin talks about and really pulls from in the article we read for our class. And so I'm going to be kind of taking from two of them for the information that I'm going to be talking about. So definition of happiness theory. According to Seligman, authentic happiness comes from identifying and cultivating your most fundamental moral strengths and using them every day in work, love, play, and parenting. And we're going to talk more about what he means in that later. And then Martin puts his 2 cents in about the definition of happiness can fall under two categories, the moral laden and morally neutral. And the moral laden definitions build in moral values, so they get a little bit more, I say, kind of just more values and I guess more feelings go into the moral laden, and then morally neutral, they don't. They keep those moral values out of it. They really, I see it as more of the scientific take. They want to be more professional in, I mean, you can be professional with moral laden, but more, I think they focus more on things that they can measure and explaining it in ways that's more not as subjective to opinion and emotion. And so some unique language that is involved in this theory is happiness and well-being. The experience of joy, which is the experience of joy, contentment, or positive well-being, combined with a sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile. Seligman uses happiness and well-being interchangeably, so when you see one or the other, it's the same thing. Then obviously virtues, moral laden, moral neutral, we talked about that. Gratification, he kind of talks about that in the article, which is positive activities that we like doing for our own sake. He also talks about how gratification is very closely related to flow. He talks about optimism, which is augmenting positive emotions by accenting the likelihood of good events, downplaying bad events as temporary and limited setbacks, and maintaining stronger self-confidence. And then you'll see strengths mentioned a lot, and then authentic happiness. He uses that term, and to clarify that, it alludes to all of the virtues, not just authenticity. And then it is the happiness produced by virtues and consists of those gratifications constituted by exercising the virtues. So some desired outcomes from this model are authenticity, happiness, and the utilization of virtues and strengths. They really focus on the utilization of virtues and strengths, and they kind of, these things kind of all equal to happiness. Everything points back to happiness. He talks about how authenticity being authentic in our life can be a gateway to a happy life. So I think all of these are outcomes that they hope would come out of this theory. Okay, so getting down to the meat of things, they really talk about virtues and strengths, and here are the virtues and the corresponding strengths that they have whittled everything down to. Sigelman combined with tons of different researchers and therapists, and they studied all different kinds of cultures and times, and they came up with these 6 virtues across all different kinds of cultures and people and things like that. And he talks about how utilizing these virtues and strengths in our lives can increase our happiness. And they have a strength questionnaire on the Authentic Happiness web page, and that you can take. It's pretty thorough, and then you can see which ones are your strengths, like which ones are higher on your list of strengths, and by utilizing those, you can, in a sense, be more happy. Some other things that they talk about of how to increase happiness. So I already mentioned the first one, but then next is being optimistic. He really focuses on that, and then cultivating appreciation for the good things in our lives and our very existence. Stop dwelling on the bad. And within that, he talks about gratitude and forgiveness. And then in a different article that I found, some more things that you can do to enhance happiness are some happiness-enhancing thoughts, being grateful, staying optimistic, living in the present, and savoring life's pleasures. And then some behaviors are building relationships, exercising regularly, developing meaningful leisure, and helping others. And obviously, as TR people, we would mainly focus on the developing meaningful leisure, but through that, I think those other things will be effective. So we might be like, oh, well, we do all of those things, but as TR, our main focus is on the leisure aspect of all this. So some assessment tools that I found in the article and elsewhere are self-reports about levels of overall satisfaction, satisfaction with one's life in general, positive emotions, and then those questionnaires that I mentioned on that page, which are really useful. So as for application for TR, I didn't really find a ton on applying it to the field of TR. So wasn't quite sure what to put in this area. So Sister Sargis, if you want to put your 2 cents in your comments of how this could have been a better section, that would be great. So I just kind of put together what I thought of the API process through this theory. So as far as assessment goes, you can ask them what they think their strengths are. I think it's important to get a good picture of where a person sees themselves as far as happiness, because we really control our happiness. A lot of the material talks about how there's a certain percentage of 50% of our happiness is genetic, and then I think 10% is based on like uncontrollable circumstances, and that leaves 40% that is within our control, and that is our outlook and things like that. So we need to really get a good picture of where this person is on how they view their life. Do they view their life as happy or not? What do they think their strengths are? And do they feel like they're utilizing those strengths? One of those ways that you could really figure out their strengths and stuff is taking this questionnaire. I took it. It's pretty in depth, but at the end you get to really see what strengths are prominent in you and stuff like that. And I think it's really good to be aware of what our strengths and weaknesses are. And then finding out, so through this assessment, finding out what aspect of their life are they lacking in gratitude? Are they lacking in optimistic viewpoint? You know, things like that. What are they lacking in? What are their strengths though? You really have to focus on their strengths and building those strengths. What are they good at? And then as for planning, you use obviously what you learned from the assessment to plan what kind of activities would be best for them and what kind of programs to get them involved in. Finding out what their strengths are can help you figure out, oh, well, they'll be good at this, and they'll be a good leader in this kind of activity. And through that, through building on those strengths, they can increase their happiness. And then implementation, obviously, you would put them in those activities and programs. But also, there's some more activities listed on my activity slide. That could also, they're just like more little things that a person can do. And then evaluation. One thing you could do is you could re-administer the questionnaire that they took and see if it's changed. I believe that it would, because as we build on our strengths and we acknowledge our strengths, then I think we're more open to admitting our strengths. I think, at least for myself, I've noticed that I have a hard time admitting my strengths and being okay with what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, and wishing I was better at other things. But as I've gone through like this little phase in my life where I've had to just really realize that I am not good at something, and that's okay. But I am good at other things, and I think we need to acknowledge what we're good at and use them. God gave us those strengths for a reason, and we need to use them. So as far as this activity section, I wasn't really sure what we were supposed to do. I don't know if we're supposed to do the activity as a class, or if I was just supposed to pick an activity. But if we're supposed to do it as a class, I chose gratitude journaling. And so I want everybody to take out a piece of paper and write down like 3 to 5 things that you are grateful for in your life. And don't just skimp out and write one-word answers. Really go into depth, and I'm thankful for this because it has this meaning in my life, or it's blessed my life in this way. So really put some thought into it. And then if you would, if you feel so inclined, please comment on the discussion board that this presentation is posted on with your experience with that. Did it brighten your day? Did it make you a little bit happier to really just sit down and, oh yeah, this is good about my life? Tell us what you thought. And then these are some additional questionnaires that someone could take. It's on that link that I posted before. And there's just, as you can see, there's just a ton of different questionnaires that someone could take. And then as far as I mentioned before, some activities that someone could do for the implementation. There's the strengthening goal commitment, reminiscing about positive life events, cultivating flow, practicing forgiveness, expressing gratitude through journaling, and performing acts of kindness. And this was taken through an article I found from Anderson and Haney. This is an article, not their book. And this all is taken from Brunsky. I don't even know how to say that name, but we've all seen it before. So that's who came up with all that. And then here are my references. So I hope that this was helpful in understanding happiness theory and that it helps with the theory table that we have to fill out. Hope everyone has a great evening. Bye.